Get ready for a hot take. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Season 2, Episode 6, I think it is, of Dan to Dan. It's hard to say sometimes because the video files for some reason just kept listing it after episode 12, 13. It just kept going as if it wasn't a season 2, and it's just I hate when they do that. But either way, I need to talk about something. So I saw a TikTok that talked about Dan to Dan. And I'm about to have a hot take here. So if you, for some reason, fully buy into the crowd and just follow, the most popular views on this series, just be warned, because I'm going to have, what is possibly a pretty unpopular opinion here. This person, this TikToker, is talking about Dan to Dan. It's talking about how it mixes genres, how it's how it really handles that well, and how it gives us great characters and stories and all. But they said that the one big problem with Dan to Dan is that the arcs are too short. That the arcs need to be expanded more, that these short little bursts of arcs just don't give enough in terms of story. And I strongly disagree with that. But that alone isn't the hot take I'm talking about. Because one of the reasons that I disagree with this is that I believe that the longest arc we've had so far, which is the Evil Eye arc, is the worst so far. I know. That might be wild to hear, especially because I, very actively didn't like episode 9 in season 1. But also because I'm more than sure the Evil Eye arc is super popular. But I had problems with it. And that's by no means to say it's bad. I'm just saying it's the weakest of this series. And I think one of the main reasons is because I think it's too long. Dan to Dan is one of those shows that needs to have balance. And when it stops having that balance, when it starts to veer way too much in a single direction, it loses what makes it good, in my opinion. Or at least what makes it as good as it is. See, I think Dan to Dan is at its best when it is balancing out the action, supernatural, alien / yokai stuff with the slice of life, romance, comedy, wholesome stuff. You have to have both, or it's not Dan to Dan. Dan to Dan is not one or the other. So, when you spend too long on one of those focuses, it starts to lose the charm, the character, the depth, the nuance that I like from this series, and focuses too much on the things that could have been told in 3 episodes. Because the Evil Eye arc was what, 5-6 episodes? It was 4 episodes this season, and then the final 1 or 2 episodes from last season. That's too much. It does not need to be that long. There is no legitimate reason that arc had to be that long. And some of it just felt like it was thrown in. There was too many elements to it. And I understand, the Keto clan leader, who's, I guess, a subterranean. I guess she's coming back in the future. That's setting up for later. But, why couldn't you have done something with that, later? You didn't need to include that now. And then you have, you have to deal with that with episode 4 of this season, which was like very much just too much. And I talked about this when we got to that episode. It just felt like it was throwing things in for fan service rather than natural integration. Seiko just suddenly showing up, the Bluetooth guy being revealed to be her apprentice, Mr. Manish Shrimp and Chiquitita appearing, and just everything pretty much. Like, I'm honestly surprised Ira wasn't in there. I'm honestly surprised Seiko didn't bring Ira. With everything that was happening, it felt overcrowded. And that was my biggest issue. Now, I'll make a comparison here, to be fair. You want to know what my favorite arc was? The Acro Silky arc. And not just because of the single episode, episode 7 of season 1, that made me and so many other people cry. It's the arc in general, introducing Ira, showcasing the different sides to her, um, the introduction of Acro Silky, the way all of that is set up and executed on. All of it is like told in what, 2, 3 episodes? And that's all it needs. It shows the school stuff. We get some of the cute slice of life stuff, and we get the action stuff. It introduces a new character who has a lot of depth and nuance. It introduces a new yokai who has a lot of depth and nuance. And it's fun and interesting, but also emotional as fuck. I honestly believe that it is the best this series has gotten, before or since. That's the kind of thing I want from this series. It doesn't have to last too long. You don't have to keep going on and on and on. Just keep it simple, keep it short. Because it allows it to feel balanced out while still telling the story it needs to be told. You don't need to tell a story forever. This isn't One Piece where the length of it is necessary to tell the story as well as it needs to be. Dan to Dan is better in the short bursts, because it's better when it's balanced out. And going back to the entire season 1 episode 9 thing, because that's my least favorite episode of the series so far, that had nothing to do with the arc or what was going on overall in that arc. The reason that was my least favorite episode is because I feel like it didn't capitalize on what the arc had been setting up. It didn't capitalize on the most interesting parts of that. And the antagonists of that arc were honestly way too one note for this series. It felt like it just didn't put as much effort into it. And, discomfort about the aggressive nudity aside, because you could make arguments about how that is like symbolic of like the characters' mental states at the time, and even their comfortability with each other, stuff like that. If you haven't seen the Dan to Dan video by Totally Not Mark, I would definitely suggest it. He goes into that there and gets really gets into some really interesting stuff with it. But even with that, I just feel like it was a little much. And again, the actual, like, events of it just didn't live up to what it was setting up in the episode before. I just feel like it didn't do as much. And I don't think that would have been helped if it were longer. I think that it wasn't that good in terms of the payoff to the setup. So that was my issue with specifically that episode. It wasn't the entire arc. It wasn't even the idea of the arc. It was just that episode and its execution. So, but the Evil Eye arc like, yeah, I obviously felt really bad for Evil Eye. I got very invested in that. It made me cry. It made me like Gigi a lot more. And again, I'm not saying that the arc was bad, but comparatively, the arc as a whole felt too long, too overcrowded, way too fan servicey at the end, and just kind of felt. Mm, it just didn't feel as interesting to me. Like honestly, the entire stuff with the death worm, the Mongolian death worm, the volcano, all of that stuff, I wasn't as interested in that. It felt like padding. But moving on from that, the episodes we've had since then, centering about going back to school and Ira coming back into the picture, trying to exercise Evil Eye out of Gigi, the rock band with Mark Hudson in the English dub. Also, the singer in the Japanese dub's apparently a really big singer too, so that's pretty cool. Um, all of these episodes since the Evil Eye arc ended, I don't even know what the current arc we would be in is called because it's just been focused on like the aftermath of the Evil Eye arc as well as like returning to kind of the characters, the slice of life and romance moments and all. It's like this has been like leagues better. And I feel like honestly I feel like we're finally getting back into Dan to Dan for the first time this season. And that's sad. I also think, honestly, that splitting up the Evil Eye arc between the end of season one and the beginning of season two was a huge mistake. Because I think that disconnect also hurt it. That time based disconnect, I feel like really did a disservice to the overall flow of the arc. Um, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, I think what we've got going on right now, even with like the maid cafe thing where it left off on, is just leagues better. Because this is the kind of shit that Dan to Dan does so well. The character work is so phenomenal during these kinds of scenes. And so I'm just hoping that we kind of get back on track and that whatever the next arc villain or yokai or whatever is, that it ends up being a lot more interesting, a lot more nuanced, and just having that shorter amount of time to really make it work, to really balance things out. So yeah. Um, that all being said, we're going to get right into this, hope for the best, and see what we have in store. So let's check it out. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I wanted to look it up because I was kind of curious to see, like, what the gist of it all was going to be in terms of the pacing and everything. And I was, like, wondering, like, okay, is... What would this arc be kind of considered? And we've seen, I guess, these spirits now, so I was thinking, like, okay, I could probably check what the arc's name is, at least. And apparently I got things wrong. Because I was looking through the arcs, and the arc after the Serpo arc, which is 8, 9, and 10, which is the one with, you know, the Loch Ness Monster and everything, is called the Cursed House arc. And that was the last 2 episodes of season 1, as well as the first 5 of this season. So episode 4 wasn't even the last episode of that arc. But then, episode 5 also is the start of this current arc, which is the Evil Eye arc. So I thought the Evil Eye arc was what we had been seeing before, but technically not. It seems like the Evil Eye arc is like, the exorcism, the attempted exorcism. But according to this, this arc was episode 5, 6, and now 7. So I'm not going to look any further, obviously, but I'm wondering if the next arc then, or if the next episode maybe is it finishes off this arc and starts the next. I don't know. We do have kind of a reason to maybe believe that though, because with everything going on with Seiko and Manjiro and how they're trying to handle this, plus you have what happened with Gigi and Evil Eye coming out again. You have him starting to get better at controlling it, but not being perfect yet. And Okarun trying to get stronger to stop Evil Eye, but obviously protect Momo and all as well. It's this feels like kind of the wrapping up of everything that happened throughout this season so far. And even though this is technically a different arc at this point, after episode 5, and you can tell it definitely has a different vibe with a lot of the slice of life stuff returning, it still is a continuation. Though I'm fine with this because it does feel different. It doesn't even feel like the same arc, and again, it's not, technically. So I'm okay with this feeling different than, or with this still following up on things. I have no issue with continuity. With what I was saying in the pre-thoughts and everything, I have no issue with continuity being shown. It's just, I want the arcs themselves to be short, simple, to the point, not waste any time. Things that I think we can agree on, hopefully. But yeah, I think that the Cursed House arc then is the arc I was thinking was too long, which, considering it's actually one more episode than I thought it was, yeah, I definitely think it's too long. This arc so far though has been fine. I've been enjoying it. I think it's been really, really good. So yeah, I have no problem with this arc. We've had some great stuff. So yeah, this episode focuses on Gigi getting better with holding Evil Eye back. And we even see him actively hold Evil Eye back after a splash of the soy sauce. But as Seiko said, that's room temperature. That's different than cold liquids, as we see with Iris Boba. And I really, really enjoyed that scene, by the way. But not because of Evil Eye coming out again, stopping them from splashing him, but then Momo getting the surprise attack because she had a drink in her mouth already. That's not why I like the scene. I like that scene because of the aftermath of it. Because of seeing Gigi being extremely guilt-ridden over it to the point of becoming really quiet. Does he even speak once after coming back out of that? I don't know if he does. I think he stayed quiet the rest of the episode, which is a great touch. Because it just feels like with the amount of guilt he's facing, it's that feels reasonable, even for someone who's very talkative like him. But then we also see Okarun pushing him away. Someone who Okarun has openly said is his friend. But in the moment, in the heat of the moment, he pushes him away because he's scared about Momo. He's checking in on her. And so, seeing what he had done to Momo, even if it wasn't his fault, and Seiko, comforts him in that, but also seeing Okarun's reaction to it, it's how bad that had to hurt him. And then after that, at night, we also see Ira's reaction because she's the one who accidentally spilled the boba on him in the first place, causing him to transform. We see how repentant and like upset she is over how much guilt she has because, like I said, she may get like at odds with Momo all the time. They might fight, but they're friends. They're 100% friends at this point. They care greatly for each other. I don't know if I made the comparison before, but if I didn't, I just want to make the comparison now. They remind me a lot of Zoro and Sanji in One Piece. It's like they care greatly for each other and they show that time and time again, but they also will always fight. They're siblings, basically. They come across as siblings with that kind of bickering, argumentative energy. But when push comes to shove, they will work together, they will protect each other, and they will, do what they can to help the other. Big example with Sanji was when he was protecting Zoro during the Wano arc, during the raid. When Zoro got super injured and had to be like full body bandaged up, Sanji protected him. He was, grumpy about it and he was like yelling at Zoro and stuff, but he still protected him with his life. I mean, he didn't die, but you know what I mean. He was doing everything he could to make sure Zoro would be okay. And when they're facing King and Queen together, you even see them get serious for a moment, and they're like talking about like, if we do this, if we win this battle, we're gonna get a glimpse at Luffy as the king of the pirates. And they're both like in full agreement, and like they're not arguing, they're not fighting, they are just fully locked in together. Those are the moments you kind of live with in terms of their live for in terms of their relationship. Those are the kind of moments you want to see from them more often. The fighting is fun, but yeah. And I think we're getting the same thing with Momo and Ira here. We love seeing them fight because it's funny. It's enjoyable. But I love seeing even more those rare moments when they just connect. When for one reason or another there is just actual emotional connection there. During that scene at night, there was no fighting, there was no arguing. Like, Ira was extremely repentant and extremely upset by what she had done, even if it was just an accident, and Momo comforted her. That is a moment that I just live for. And this is why I say often that these slice of life moments are oftentimes the best parts of this series. This is why I say that these moments are like really what I wait for every time. And I love, like I said, I love the action stuff. I love the cool supernatural shit. I love the crazy zaniness. But the slice of life stuff is so excessively well done that it's hard to believe. Because I've seen many slice of life shows, and I don't think I've seen a single one that does slice of life this well. That does romance this well. I think the only thing close in terms of romance is Ori Monogatari for me. In terms of anime, mind you. Ori Monogatari's love story between Takeo Goda and Yamato is one of the most, like, just heartwarming love stories I've seen in anything. And the fact that this is, like, matching that energy is extremely satisfying to me. Because it's something I just don't see most of the time when it comes to love stories in anime. And we also have Mr. Manish Shrimp in this episode in his human disguise, which has a different voice for some reason. Okay, I guess a more human fitting voice. But he's like refusing to train Okaroon in how to throw a punch, but also does still like, it seems like he's trying to like get him to be stronger by helping like carry in all those bags. So it's like, okay, I can dig that. Maybe doing a little like Mr. Miyagi style training, something you wouldn't expect to help out but does. And then even Turbo Granny's helping out, though she's kind of framing it as, oh, you're using my power really poorly, so I'm just gonna help you not embarrass me. Because she's a tsundere. Like, Turbo Granny's never going to admit that she actually likes these kids. She's never going to admit that she's actually kind of rooting for them. Because that's just her. But she absolutely is, and she's willing to help. She's just, gonna be herself about it. I also love her and Ira just like getting at odds here and Ira stomping her into the ground. That's really funny. Using the acro silky powers and then trying to like excuse it to Okaroon by saying, "Oh, that wasn't me. That was acro silky. I would never say stuff like that." It's like, bitch, we know you would. Like, I think Okaroon at this point knows you would. He doesn't mind. Like he's fine with it. Like, but it's like, girl, people. I feel at this point know who you are. The fact that they're still friends with you shows that they don't care about that. That they like you. That they see you as a friend. Momo, Okaroon, all of them, they see you as someone they want to be around. Despite the bad attitude sometimes. And that's why she's warming up enough to have that conversation with Momo at night. Because whether she realizes it or not, she does feel the love from them. She feels like she belongs. It's just phenomenal character work. And it continues to show why Ira is my favorite. It's like, it's not just for the joke. It's not just like, she's the main character kind of joke. No. Ira's genuinely my favorite because of this kind of character development. I make it no secret that I love characters who start off as antagonistic and end up becoming, you know, not just redeemed, but like great allies or extremely good people and just turn their lives around. Some of my favorite characters in a lot of the shows I've reacted to are this archetype. Sasha Waybright from Amphibia. You have Amity Blight from Owl House. Pacifica Northwest from Gravity Falls. It's like Andrea Davenport from Ghost of Molly McGee. Can't forget Andrea. These are characters that I adore. They're my favorite characters from their respective series because I just love this archetype. I love the archetype of a either bully or kind of, insufferable antagonistic character turning out to be one of the most likable, most genuine, kind-hearted, friendly characters in the series because they're able to change themselves thanks to the influences around them. And some of them take longer than others. Pacifica and Sasha were a little more abrasive for longer than, say, Andrea. Andrea turned a lot quicker. Which is fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's just it just depends on like what the show's kind of going for with that. And with Ira, it is taking time, and she is still a bit abrasive, especially to Momo. But she's warming up, and she's showing these little breaks in her abrasiveness. She's showing that she cares for more than just Okaroon because she, has a crush on him. We're seeing the depths of her character as it evolves and grows, and this is like entirely my kind of shit. I love great character work. I love this archetype. It's all coming together in a fantastic way. Also, I wish we saw her powers more because the Acro Silky powers are pretty cool. We see like Okaroon's powers all the time. We're seeing the Evil Eye keep popping up every now and again since that was introduced. We see Momo's powers constantly. But like, I think this is like, since she got them, only the second or third time we've seen Acro Silky's powers. Because we saw Acro Silky's powers once during the Serpo arc, which was like, you know, when they were taken to the other world and there was the Loch Ness monster and everything. We saw it once then. We saw it once in this episode. And no, that actually might be it. There was there another moment? There might have been one other moment. But it's like it's very rare and she hasn't really used it in terms of combat yet. We haven't really seen Ira in combat since she used it against was it Mr. Manishrimp or the Serpo? I think it was Mr. Manishrimp she was trying to fight at that time in the Serpo arc. Um so yeah, I want to see her actually get in on the action a little more. And not just because she's my favorite character, but I want to see her powers highlighted a little more. We obviously also in this episode had the continuation from last time with the maid cafe and Okrun coming back after she got off to help walk her home, even though like she insisted she didn't want it, though she obviously did. Yeah. Just some really great stuff in this episode. Some really fun moments, some good developments, amazing character work. Just some really fun shit. Like this was another really great episode. I really enjoyed this. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Dan to Dan Season 2? And thank you so much as always for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.